This is the Jill Bennett Show on 730 CKNW. Download the Jill Bennett Show podcast where you get podcasts.
Is the minister willing to write a letter to the New Westminster School District confirming that the provincial government will, in fact, be funding continued service of the Queensborough School Bus service in this month?
Minister.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you to the member for the question. You know, this is an ongoing conversation with the school district in New West, and I want families to know that nothing is changing right now, that their service that they rely on for this year is going to continue as we continue to work on a permanent solution together, and so nothing is changing for the students right now.
All right, that was an exchange in the legislature. You heard there from the BC MLA for Richmond Queensborough, Steve Cooner, questioning BC's Minister for Education and Childcare, Lisa Bear, on the future funding for the Queensborough area school bus. This is also something that is going to be discussed later today at New Westminster City Council. Both councillors, Daniel Fontaine and Paul Minhas, are calling on both the mayor and council to unite and to demand that the BC government permanently fund that Queensborough school bus service for students. And joining me now to talk more about the arguments for this and why this is even an issue right now is Paul Minhas, a New Westminster City Councillor. Councillor, thank you for being with us.
You're welcome, Jill.
You and your fellow councillor, Daniel Fontaine, are going to be calling on mayor and council to demand that the Queensborough school bus service is funded. Can you give us a bit of the background here for people who might not be familiar with this story about what's happening with this bus service?
Absolutely. Very good question, Jill. For years, the students of Queensborough have been traveling back and forth, and it's a real struggle for them. And, with the traffic nightmare on Queensborough on both sides, in the morning, heavy traffic, it takes as much as 90 minutes, according to some parents, going to school. And then when they're going back home, it's traffic again, and they're stuck in traffic. They have a lot of anxiety, they're limited as to how much time they have for themselves as well. A lot of parents, community members, even school trustees, especially Kathleen Carlson and Danielle Donnelly, have been promoting this for quite some time. And the NDP government even had this program going. And now, as of June 30th this year, they're going to stop it. Now, we have been advocating it for a very long time. The parents have been advocating it for a long time. I don't think they should just stop this. This is a nightmare for those students, almost 230 plus students from Queensborough. And I think it is important for us, people in government, especially in the province, when they're spending so much money on pilot projects, for example, hundreds and millions of dollars, like for free drugs and stuff like that, and they've been a failed project or other things as well. This is something very simple. It shouldn't take the province this long to make it a permanent school bus from Queensborough to the high school.
So you mentioned this is a service that is for about 230 students that live in the Queensborough area. Do you know what the price is, what the cost of the school bus service is?
I'm not exactly sure, but I think the parents are paying a little bit towards that. I don't have the numbers at the top of my head right now. I don't want to give a wrong number. But regardless, this has been going on for too long, and we all need to make the right decisions at the city level as well as the provincial level to make sure that these students have free funding for school bus to the high school.
So this was a pilot service, though, as you mentioned, that was launched back in 2024, and the parents do pay into this. Was any reason given as to why the pilot project it would be wrapping up at the end of June?
Not that I know of. I think if you look at the provincial level, the government, with the new budget that they came out, There's a lot of things going on, a lot of moving parts. But, the students don't need to suffer, and the parents of Queensborough don't need to suffer. At the end of the day, when the government is making priority for a lot of things that are not working out, this is a very simple thing. This is for the future of our students, and they need to address this as soon as possible. It shouldn't take this long.
And when you talk about the time then for students to get to school, that the 230 students who use the bus service, that without them, the time would be much longer. I think you said could be as high as 3 times the time. Is that with students taking public transit, or would there be cases where parents would then be responsible in getting their students to school?
Yeah, when they're taking the public transit or their parents are driving, like I was saying earlier, the traffic on Queensborough can be a nightmare, especially in the morning at rush hour, as well as when they're going back at, right after when they finish school, like around 3 to 5 o'clock. It takes a long time, 90 minutes plus sometimes, all depends on the traffic. And that brings a lot of uncertainty and anxiety to the students. And whereas they could be using that time for something much more purposeful, here they're stuck in traffic.
What would you say, though, to the argument that other parents might be hearing this, or other taxpayers, that if you are going to live somewhere like Queensborough, where you're quite a distance from the school, if you're choosing to live in that neighborhood, then why should you get publicly funded bus service? Maybe if you've chosen to live there, should you not be responsible as parents to get your kids to school?
A very good question, Jill. Here's the thing. Queensborough is a part of mainland New Westminster. Those parents, those students shouldn't be treated differently. They're paying the same kind of taxes and everything else, the parents. Why should it be where, in this case, like I was saying earlier, that the students have to suffer? The students shouldn't have to suffer. We have one high school with over 90,000 people in New Westminster. We have one high school, Jill. Can we not maybe build a high school and advocate for a high school? This should have been long time ago in Queensborough, but we haven't done that. Now, why should they suffer? And, it's not their fault. It's not the students' fault. At the end of the day, this is not the kind of money that they're looking for. Like I said, the province has been spending on other things as well.
And so at this
point...
point...
It's all about priorities.
Right.
Sorry.
No, that's quite all right. I know that you also mentioned, or it was mentioned in this motion as well, or one of the arguments also being that with the density, there's a tiny homes project, I think, coming to New Westminster. We certainly know that the provincial government is mandating places to build more housing. Is that part of the issue as well, in that maybe it's 230 students now that are relying on this service, but could there be more?
Another very good question here. The mayor was just in Victoria a little while ago last month, and he was advocating on behalf of the tiny home village in New Westminster. This was a promise, as far as the school bus is concerned, made at the last election. Now, the province needs to live up to this. Here we are, again, advocating, promoting, and spending a lot of money onto something like the tiny home village in New Westminster. Yet the promises that they have made are not being kept, as well as now we're going to spend extra money. Like I said, it's all about priorities. And at this present time, we need to prioritize, education for our young children, a younger generation, because they are the future. We shouldn't leave this behind. They shouldn't be suffering because the priorities are not set straight by this present municipal government and the mayor.
And Paul, just going back, I know you said you didn't have the number in front of you, but if you're fighting to have this bus service reinstated, or to have it so that the pilot project doesn't run out, it doesn't end at the end of June, shouldn't you have an idea on what this is costing taxpayers, or what the cost to the provincial government would be?
Another very good question. I believe it's around $10. You're absolutely right. But like I said, it's slipping my head, and my apologies on that.
All right. Well, we can look into it and figure that number out. So this is coming to council this evening. What are you anticipating? I know that you've talked about this with other councillors and with the mayor. This has been an issue before. What are you anticipating this evening?
I'm hoping that my colleagues and the mayor will think about this long and hard. And like I said, we need to set our priorities straight and get this right for a younger generation and not leave them behind and ignore them.
Well, we will.
And I'm hoping that they will vote with us.
All right. We will be watching to see what happens next with this. Councillor Minhas, thank you for joining us. Appreciate you making the time today.
Thank you, Jill.
That is Paul Minhas. He and fellow councillor Daniel Fontaine will be talking about this at council later tonight. The idea of not ending the pilot project for a school bus service for students in the Queensborough area. We're